Well, welcome back to the driveway garden. It is August, and as we are approaching mid-August, this is the summer garden in its fullness here in the driveway garden. As if you've seen my videos before, you may know that I'm on a mission to try to grow as much as I can in this driveway garden with the intent on trying to fill my family's table and see if I can grow enough surplus that I can actually provide for the community. Not just veggies and produce, but also flowers. And I've done it before. I really enjoyed it, but at this point, I'm not producing at that scale anymore. And so that is the whole challenge here of, can I get back to, in a smaller space on a driveway garden, doing what I've done before, being able to give back to the community with the produce and flowers that can come from a home garden. And one of the first things you may notice right away is that we have this lobelia that is taken to the gravel path. So it's kind of just sprouted up like a weed here, but I've let it go because it is quite beautiful actually. Come along, let me show you what's happening here in the rest of the garden. Well, this squash and bean tower has just gone crazy. I mean, I designed it this way, but I don't think I quite imagined what would happen. Plus, we had a volunteer tomato that kind of decided to hitch a ride as well. So we've got a volunteer cherry tomato, a bunch of winter squash, and runner beans here. And I've already harvested some of these runner beans here. The squash is just like, well, it has nowhere else to go. Seeing here where we got it's flying over the top of the neighbor's fence there, so maybe I'll correct that. So yeah, it's impressive. I like it. Actually inspires me. I actually would do more of this. Maybe next year I'll make some more structures like this and kind of do it all the way down, and that'll give me more spaces to grow even more winter squash in a small space, because this seems to be working well. I say that, but there's I haven't seen any squashes on this trellis. Now, other places in the garden where I'm trellising up some winter squash, we do have them. So in general, as a strategy, it works, but I haven't seen any specifically on this structure here. And then back here, the corn. Corn is interesting in that, well, the corn has in fact put on ears, so that's good. That doesn't mean necessarily that it is a success. I won't know it's a success until I peel it back and start looking at whether the ears are filling out, which depends on pollination. And that is, I said pollination, I'm not sure if that's the right term for that, but in any case, it is the, usually, as I've talked about before, you plant corn in blocks and then that will work better for you. And so this is pretty iffy, but I come along and try to help them out by throwing the stems around, hoping that they're pollinating each other. Well, come on this way. Well, I mentioned that some of my winter squash going up trellises do have squash on them, and there is, I don't know if you can sight it there, kind of behind the corn, but there is a kabocha right there. Can you see that? There we go, right there. So yeah, we got something brewing there. You've seen already previously probably in this bed, so everything just looks bigger, but it's kind of the same thing that you've seen on the last tour. We've got zucchini plants, summer squashes, we've got broccolis in and around, we've got the corn here, of course, I just talked about a little bit, and we've got these strawflowers that just overwintered from last year and have kind of been the repeating theme on this bed, this west side path bed here. And then the sweet peas, you know, I'm still getting blooms. I could probably nurse this through at this point maybe and try to keep something, but it is looking pretty ragged. So I think I'm gonna pull these out just because I don't like the look of it here. But you know, I'm giving you full coverage. I'm not just cleaning up the garden, giving you just the most beautiful look. I'm giving you exactly what happens here. So it doesn't look great. It's old, dying off, ready to go, but it's still there and you can see it. And when we were back there a minute ago, when you saw the big tower of the squash and the beans and the tomato, it wasn't well trimmed. The tomato's kind of all over the place, but I showed you as it is. I will be trimming it soon, but that's the current state of things as they actually are. These I've talked about before, the Loveliness, which I use as a border flower along here. I used to have it across the entire border, but it's been crowded out or otherwise didn't survive across the entire border, but there are these clumps of it that have survived, and I still love it. I call it the soap flower because it smells like fresh detergent, I guess. I don't know if you like that smell, but I like it. It smells nice. It's like if you like kind of the fresh smell sometimes that comes from a laundromat with everything else that goes along with that. It's what this reminds me of. This bunching I'm enjoying here, we've got the 4 o'clocks, which are just barely coming out here, but then we've got these beautiful asters that are just really throwing kind of that purple, that purple color just right in your face, and then you've got the more subtle kind of variable coloring that you get with this Salpiglossis here and around it. I think that works great, and when the 4 o'clocks come into it as well, you've got the 3 of them there together. It's yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's wonderful. And then aside from that here, I was just showing you in the footage, I've got a big delicata squash there growing on a trellis, and as I walk back this way, we've just got some more flowers. We've got cosmos back here that are kind of more delicate. We've got some marigolds that are a white ruffled type of marigold, which is a nice change for looking at marigolds. Well, this is the last stretch here of this west side path, the far west bed along the fence here. I'm just pushing this fennel back. I grow this fennel like this. I let it go to seed because I actually like to eat the seeds. So, and you can eat them. You can eat it at this stage. You know, it's that kind of licorice anise flavor, or you can eat it at this stage where it's getting closer to kind of what dried fennel seeds look like. And then dried fennel seeds, that's a seasoning that you find in, say, sausage, for example, a lot of times. These aren't dry, these are fresh, but yeah, similar flavor, a little stronger in some regard because it's got a little more to it, more surface area than the little flowers I was eating. Actually, I'd say these I was eating more like the flowers than the seeds, and then these are the actual seeds here, but they're not dried yet. So it's something I like to chew on out in the garden. My blackberries have slowed down. I really enjoy these blackberries. Slowed down on me here. I've got 3 sets, one here and then a couple over there, and they're in pots. I don't know if it's weather or just we had a flush and that just needs more time to come back or what, but. And this is a thornless blackberry. Here in Oregon, we have blackberries that run wild, essentially. They're not all native, but we have a lot of blackberry brambles that run wild, and usually they have thorns on them, but you can go out, and if you're confident that where you're hiking is not where somebody's been spraying the blackberries to keep them back, you can pick lots of blackberries wild and keep your pantry full of blackberries, usually through the summer here, especially this time of year. But for my garden, I prefer to grow the thornless variety, which is engineered to not have thorns, of course. So aside from the blackberries and the fennel, some of the things going on over here are still some strawberries. There's some that are supposed to be ever-bearing, but I'm getting maybe kind of 1 strawberry every couple of weeks from each of these pots, so it's not a massive amount of production coming from them. I've got different kales and broccolis in here. Ooh, there's a pumpkin growing back there. That's nice. Okay. So, and that one's not actually growing on the trellis, it's just kind of growing across the pots there. But what I'm hoping to see, I'm already seeing some of, I'm hoping to see more of, is these Gladiolas. These were saved over, the bulbs were saved over from last year, and I had lined up a bunch. I pre-sprouted them and then line them up along this path here. And wasn't sure we were going to get any blooms, and some of them have started blooming. I'm starting to see some more that are looking like they'll bloom, so that's nice. It's gonna be a nice display. All right, well, next let me take you down to the west side, down that direction. We'll go kind of turn you around and walk down the west side of the driveway. Well, we're here in the west driveway, and we're gonna go along down this side here as part of our tour. And the main thing that I'm proud of here is the quinoa. It came out as I was hoping. Got the colors are coming on it, and I think it's looking well. The Alyssums in there have done okay. They're looking a little scraggly right now. I need to come in and deadhead some of that, but it's going well too. And as we move through here, you can see the lavender just keeps going the whole time, and we've got some asters kind of hiding in the background there, along with, of course, the peppers and some sweet alyssum here. Let me bring you down this way to show you some more of what we've got here. Well, over here, what I've been having fun growing in this section has been the Nicotiana here, but it had a bunch of these kind of old branches, which I essentially cut everything back, but it was just kind of overgrown there, so I cut it all back. I don't remember from the last time when I grew this whether after you cut it back if we'll get another flush in this season or not, so we're gonna find out. But it's been great for most of the summer so far, so it was definitely worthwhile growing regardless, but we'll see if it gives us anything else there. Flowering here is hyssop, I believe. And then over here, I cut back the petunias. They'll grow back and fill out. I cut them back because they were getting very leggy. And then I did the same thing with some alyssum over here, cut it back, it was getting leggy. I didn't really cut anything back here. These are just naturally kind of scraggly here. I think this is, you see the leaves are kind of turning more of a chartreuse on the pepper here, and I think that is a result of probably starting to need some more fertilizer. So that's something that I'll be talking about in an upcoming video, is going around and refertilizing some things. These are the Salpiglossis, Asters, of course, and then quite bloomed a lot yet, but these are the 4 o'clocks over here. Let me bring you down this way so you can see more of this west side. Well, this was my second quinoa in a pot, and same thing, I'm happy with how it's turning out. We're getting the colors that I expected, so I'm happy to have that sitting there. There was a pink jasmine that was sitting in here, and it's growing nicely, but it's been overcome by the hyssop bush that we've got growing right here. And then back here, just some pansies and some smaller yellow cosmos. This one's actually thyme here. And then this is a weed. I mean, I'm not sure where it came from or exactly what the origin of it was, but I didn't plant it, it grew on its own. It's growing out of the rock, out of the rock wall here. But I really liked the look of it, so I left it. Now it's starting to kind of get bigger and overtake some things, so I might go ahead and just cut it back and just say, hey, it had a good look for part of the summer, but it wasn't intended to be here all summer, so I might cut this back or take it out or something. But yeah, creates a nice little backdrop there. Let me bring you down this way to look at some more things. Well, I'm loving this area here. I've got my asters here, and then that is blending over here into these marigolds here. I've got lots of different kinds of marigolds, as you may have seen in the garden. And then back here is dahlia that is getting ready to bloom here, with some kind of mini petunias here. So I'm liking how that looks. I really enjoyed this cosmos, kind of a pink and yellow kind of, it's like yellow is like splashed on the petals there, but it's got a great kind of interesting coloring to it, I guess I would say. And then rounding it off over here, I've got these cool nasturtiums. Let's keep bringing it down this direction. These sedums feel like almost like they're cheating because they're just so easy, and they're actually growing out of the rock wall here, so they're not even in a pot. They're super easy maintenance. They propagate easily. I could expand them if I wanted to, but you know, I don't want to have sedums everywhere. But I'm liking this here. It's a nice easy anchor plant to have here. Behind that, I've got hidden back here some Jimmy Nardello peppers, which you've probably seen in my other segments because I go crazy with peppers. And then as we move down this way, kind of in the backdrop are the Carnations, which have turned out to work pretty well this summer. I've gotten much more Carnations than I have in the past. It took a couple of years. I had Carnations planted in these planters last season and didn't really get anywhere. And so this season they've started to really like bloom and take off, and I just have to stay on top of deadheading them. Old Strawflowers here, more Marigolds, and then another yellow, a set of yellow Asters down here. And that rounds off this side, west side driveway, that is. So I'm gonna take us around 180 degrees and start in my holding area, and then work our way up the whiskey barrel row that's holding the tomatoes this year, and from there. Well, on this side, this is the east side of the driveway, and it's my holding area. I've shared with you all before. I don't have as much in it anymore. I still have these dahlia bulbs that haven't sprouted but have roots in them, so I don't know. I keep calling them bulbs, tubers, dahlia tubers. So I don't really know what to do about that or what to think about it. I have new kind of fall veggies back there. I'm seeing a little bit of pinholes in those, so I think I might look at them, or I need to come back and investigate them a little bit, see what kind of bugs might be getting at them. And then I've got some seedlings here. I've got some lettuce that's actually propping up. The sun's coming out here. It's gonna be pretty hot in the next, probably in an hour or so, so I'll probably move those seedlings over into the shade. Back that way is kind of the shaded area, so this allows me to kind of move things in and out of the shade, trays in and out of the shade and the sun pretty regularly, and it's right by my water source too. So, and it's right by my office, so it's perfect for my holding area. The other things in my holding area are some things that are perennials that I've had for over a year that I just haven't gotten into anything. So I've got some penstemons, I still have some Carnations there. I have some Strawflowers, which aren't perennials per se, but they were left over. I planted from seed and I just never found a place in the garden for them. So yeah, that's all of that I have there. And then the stock tanks here, the driveway stock tanks, which get tons of sun and so otherwise do pretty well. I try to keep them watered pretty well, so they stay nice and moist, and they're both moist and warm. So that should be kind of a fairly perfect growing environment for what I've got in here. I've got some eggplants and some peppers. The peppers have produced my peppers that you've seen me talk about a lot, like padrons and Cheetos and Nardellos. The eggplants have not produced yet. I've got some flowers, but we'll see. Maybe, I don't know if it's been consistently warm enough in the right way at the right times, or if perhaps I'm actually overwatering for the eggplants. I'm not really sure. They're not producing for me at all this year, really. So that's that. Let's take it back this way. Further up the driveway, on this second tier of the wall that is still under construction, I've got my pots of various flowers and peppers and eggplants and all the same kinds of stuff going on up there. Well, tomatoes are what I have here in this whiskey barrel row, and I'm getting lots of cherry tomatoes and enjoying them. I eat a lot of them in the garden. I've harvested them and taken them inside. We've had them with salads and with some dishes already. On this very far end are the potatoes, and they're still just sitting there waiting for harvest. They're still looking normal. They're a blue potato, so they'll be a fall harvest, I think. I've got some onion starts for these are scallions, or they're not bulb onions or anything, but just scallion onions for later. They'll be for a fall harvest as well. I still have things that I would call part of my holding area back here, so more flowers and still some perennial stuff like some lupins and some kale that never got in the ground over here too. So the holding area is looking odd because these are things that just never made it into the garden, and now we're approaching mid-August, so that's where that's at. But that's okay. They're sad, but they're surrounded by plenty of great happy stuff. I've got my ice cream buckets with dahlias and zinnias in them, and they're poised to like pop anytime now. And then tomatoes are, I'm pretty happy with where they're going for the most part. The cherries for sure have been good. This is the Japanese Truffle, which is like a plum tomato. Haven't been getting a lot from that. Usually they're much bigger too. So I got a couple of them already from this plant, but not as many as I'm used to. So we'll keep seeing. The larger tomatoes just really haven't come in for me. Now that we're mid-August, I am skeptical that we will get much. The Jersey Devil hasn't really made it. I've been pulling off lots of green tomatoes that have blossom end rot because there's like no point to growing that. So I've got one nice one here that does not have blossom end rot. So maybe I'll get one nice saucing tomato out of this whole Jersey Devil plant. So that has not done well for me, unfortunately. But this one, which is a cherry tomato, it's sweet aperitif. I don't remember if I grew it, or I don't remember thinking much about it in the past if I did grow it last year, but I really like it. It's, you know, these little red tomatoes off the sweet aperitif are very sweet. I mean, the name makes sense, and it's nice. I like it. So that's definitely a keeper, you know, along with, I've talked a lot when I talk tomatoes about how much I love the orange Peruche tomatoes, and I've got a couple of different plants of that here, and I'd say the sweet aperitif now kind of joins that in my must-have every year portfolio. Well, let me bring you along this way to see some more tomatoes and marigolds. This is my second. At the very end, I had a orange Peruche. This is the second orange Peruche tomato plant in here, and you can see the fruiting in there. It's got plenty of fruit. You'll also see as we came along here, the experiment that I did this year. Normally I single stem. I didn't. I let more stems kind of grow, and then I just kind of group them together and put a string around the whole grouping to kind of keep it centered around the post of the pot, and that's actually working surprisingly well. I'm not sure though that I really am getting significantly more, if any more production than I've got when I single stemmed. Maybe a little bit more, but not enough that I'm like, wow, this is just so much more. And I do enjoy the clean lines of just the single stem, the organization of it. So I probably will go back to just single stemming them next year. I've got some basil here and that I've planted in these planters with the tomatoes. It makes it easy to grab a piece of basil and a tomato and enjoy that as I'm walking through the garden. This is an old time for me, an old timer that I grow every year that I like. It's the white currant tomato, which is, they're not quite white. They're more like they become, when they're fully ripe, like a translucent yellow almost. I guess you might call that white, but a white with a yellow tinge on it. But these I enjoy. They're for snacking in the garden primarily because well, you can, if you cut them with clusters, or you cut them and you keep the top on there, then you can probably save it if you want in the kitchen. But when you're pulling tomatoes and stuff, usually when you pull this off, it's really hard to pull this off without causing it to split in there. And then once you do that, it's gonna degrade, it's not gonna last. And the other problem is in my kitchen, if there's any splits or whatever in the tomatoes, and you've got all these cherry tomatoes in a bowl, and there's one that has a split in it at the bottom, it starts attracting fruit flies to the whole bowl. So anyway, I don't like to harvest these for storage in the kitchen, so that often. I like to just eat them in the garden. And then this one is kind of similar in its habit and everything I just said about it's not really something to harvest for the kitchen, although there might be a bit of a difference. This is orange version of that. I think this was an orange currant tomato that I got. And again, I got it thinking that I would just eat it in the garden like I do the white currants. The only thing is the skin seems to be tougher than the white currant. So it might actually be something that, unlike the white currant, I could harvest a bunch and save if I wanted to, but I don't kind of want to. I want to eat it. Well, that's the tomatoes. Hiding behind the tomatoes, I've got a zucchini pot here. I've got one on there that's still a baby. I've got another zucchini pot here. Back through there. Got some other peppers hiding back there, but you know the drill. It's just the same old shishitos and padrons type of thing that's hiding out back there. Some more ice cream buckets with, can you guess? Dahlias and zinnias. All right, well, let's rotate our view and head up there to cherry tree garden, see what's going on there as part of our tour. But before I do that, let me show you this one thing that I do really like. And it is a volunteer red garnet amaranth. I've grown this in the past. Its seeds just end up getting everywhere. And in this case, it grew kind of where I'm constructing my wall. And I'm enjoying it there. It looks nice there. And it's only one, but you know, if you let all the seeds go and if you had a fertile area, they would just prop up everywhere. You'd have a really big field full of red amaranth if you did that. Well, this is the cherry tree garden as we've been growing, and probably one of the more fun parts is I had this idea of if I put some poles or sticks or branches kind of angled up towards this cherry tree here, that I could grow pumpkin and winter squash and bean vines on it, and then it would create kind of a little area underneath that you can get into from back there. And my 3-year-old daughter is using it as her fort now. So we grew a fort this year for our daughter, and that's fun. It's fun to see her use her imagination and pretend that there's doors and windows and all that sorts of things. So this is filled out nicely, and I showed in a previous video that, and now it's even bigger. We actually have a real pumpkin growing there, which is nice. And then there's underneath this leaf here, there's also a delicata squash there, a winter squash. So things are coming along nicely. You won't be able to see it easily from the angles that I'm giving you, but there's a little kabocha pumpkin kind of embedded back there as well up in the tree. But we're growing squash in a cherry tree. Our cherry tree is growing squash. It didn't do well with cherries, but it's doing well with growing squash. Along the front here, we still have some beans I need to come along and either harvest or pull out. They're pretty much done at this point with these beans, and I've got a new set of beans in the holding area to replace them with. And then this is the vanilla ice sunflower. My wife doesn't like large sunflowers with the large heads. She feels like they look overpowering, and she doesn't enjoy that. So when I grow sunflowers, I try to grow the smaller, the more different kinds of colored ones. And so this one is perfect. It's nice and small and delicate and plays well with the other things in the garden, the zinnias that are right next to it. And yeah, you can't see from that angle, but we've got some zinnias over here, and then a dahlia that has yet to do its thing, but it will. So lots of cool stuff there. And then back here inside behind the cherry tree are the stock tanks that are up against the fence there, and we're growing some squashes and tomatoes now. This is where the peas were in the spring, and those came out, and then squashes and peas were planted along here, and they're using those same pea vines. And so you can see more of that here. Actually, let me change the camera angle for you. There's a little kabocha squash growing there along the fence, on the fence, I should say. These are shelling beans, so when they're ready, we'll pull them and then save the beans, dry them. And I've got some peppers and eggplants and various things kind of in here. And then this is a path. Sometimes I call it the Maddie path after our 3-year-old daughter, her secret path to get through there. But it's really me that is walking through there a lot to get in and around things and be able to get to these stock tanks we have here. There's some zucchinis and things back there around the corner here. One of the things that I'm enjoying is this walkway. The zinnias have come out. I didn't expect the zinnias to come out as quickly as they did. I thought my dahlias would come out sooner than the zinnias, but we've got these zinnias have come out here, and they're just doing great. They really light up this walkway here. We still have the rogue volunteer tomato here. It may be more of just kind of a generic tomato / some other nightshade thing. I don't know. It hasn't produced any fruit. It's been flowering and going. Oh no, I see some. I just said that, but now I see some little fruits down here. So there are some little cherry tomatoes down here, or currant tomatoes. There's something. I don't know what it is, but something. This is actually over here. This is where the pumpkin that I showed you, the pumpkin that was growing on the trellis up against the cherry tree. This is where it originates, is all the way over here. So the pumpkin originates here, and then the vine grows all the way along there, and it kind of circles around the cherry tree and then is growing up into the cherry tree there. So yeah, it's kind of a fun way to do it for our limited space here. And then in here, I've got some more eggplants, again, flowering, but not producing yet. Same comment I gave you earlier in the tour about my other eggplants. So it's not a container versus bed thing, because these are beds, raised beds, but beds as opposed to just pure pots. I do have something fun for the palette here. I have stevia. This stevia we grew from seed, and it's in perfect form now. And so usually I like to pair it with things. So, you know, I'll grab a tomato, or I'll grab maybe a piece of the spearmint that is growing wild around here, and I'll pair it with the stevia. But yeah, it's what you'd expect. It's the sweet leaf of the stevia, and it's quite good. Let me bring you up this way and show you kind of what's going on with the rest of this path. This came out differently than I planned, and I love it. Or I should say, I did not plan for this. I knew when I was potting up, and you were joining me this summer as I was potting up at the potting bench, making all these pots of zinnias. And so I knew I was making those combinations, but I didn't know where I was going to place them, and I hadn't imagined that I would have a row like this in this walkway as you walk this way. But when I then looked for places to put them, this is where we put them, and it's fantastic. I mean, just when you walk this way, just getting this color hitting like this, I love it. And like I said earlier, the surprise is that the zinnias and their multicolored beauty came out before the dahlias, and so I'm pretty happy with that. On the end here, we have another vanilla ice sunflower there. Let's finish our way out this way. So I thought we'd just walk down the path together. There's not, once you get kind of past these Gladiolus, there's not as much going on over here on my west path brick wall at the moment here. I need to come along and revitalize this with something new and interesting. And down here, we've got the here. And that's it. Let me swing you back around. Fig tree is done producing for now. There's lots of figs on there, but they're the second round that may not actually come into fruition before the fall frost. We'll see. That second round often doesn't become ripe in time to be useful. Well, that's it for our beginning of August garden tour. A little bit later than I've done in the past. I probably would have done this a few days ago in the prior months, but we're now getting close to mid-August instead of beginning of August, but I'm still gonna call it the beginning of August garden tour. So that was our beginning of August garden tour. I'm glad you stuck it out and joined me, and I hope to see you all in the next video.